name is Yolanda Bamutu, as I have said, from UN, but also the founder of Divine Growth Solutions. Very honored to be part of this event. So please allow me and join me in welcoming Mr. Rashid Ali Abdallah, the Executive Director of African Energy Commission. Thank you so much, Mr. Ali.
Thank you very much. My name is Rashid Abdallah. I'm Executive Director of African Energy Commission, the specialized agency of Africa responsible for dealing with the energy in all the African continent. And I stand in front of you today on behalf of the Commissioner for Infrastructure and Energy, Her Excellency Loretta Mutagawa, who wish to be with you today, but for unforeseen circumstances is not able. Excellency, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, I greet you all on behalf of African Union Commission, and I am pleased to speak at this important event that aim to reiterate the urgency for collaborative dialogue and leadership to achieve Africa energy access agenda, while also position Africa's role in shaping the global energy transition. I am taking this opportunity to thank the President of the Republic of South Africa, His Excellency Mr. Matabela Cyril Ramaphosa, and the entire government for flying the African flag in 2025 G20 presidency. The African Union Commission acknowledges the huge effort and resources committed by the South Africa G20 presidency in ensuring that Africa's voice has been elevated in G20 process. I wish also to thank Lean in Southern Africa leaders in equity and sustainability and WWG Media for organizing this important and timely dialogue, which I am sure will serve to strengthen further our ambitions for just energy transition in the continent. The African Union Agenda 2063 call for ensuring efficient, reliable, modern, and sustainable energy access for all Africans, which will be crucial to achieve transformative and inclusive development that promotes and enhances economic, human, and social development on the continent. For Africa, access to adequate energy is prerequisite for development, while also serving as the bedrocks for the implementation of many African key priorities, including industrialization, trade, agriculture development, food security, and regional integration. The energy transition in Africa is not only about energy access and low-carbon energy system, but it must be transformative in contributing towards economic growth, poverty alleviation, job creation, and productive activity to uplift the livelihood of the rural community, women and youth. Africa has ample opportunity to use its competitive advantage and resources in form of mineral, energy, agriculture, and manpower resources to address its development challenge and participate effectively in global market, as well as develop its own regional and continental market. The key issue for African energy sector is not about the availability of resources, but how to effectively and adequately convert these resources to provide sustainable energy access to its people. Africa accounts for about 12% of the world's technically feasible hydropower potential, which could add 210 to 350 gigawatts to the grid. The solar and wind energy resources in Africa could add more than 1,000 gigawatt and 110 gigawatt to the electric generation mix respectively. The potential for geothermal energy stands at about 15 gigawatts. In terms of fossil fuel, the crude oil reserve in the continent is estimated to over 125 billion barrels, representing about 7.5% of the global reserve. The natural gas reserve in the continent, which is continually being discovered, already account for 7% of the global reserve. And we believe that by 10 years from now, this reserve will be increased due to the new discovery now ongoing in several parts of the continent. Despite these huge resources, Africa remains the continent with the highest unutilized energy resources in the world. In terms of fossil fuel, more than 70% and 45% of the crude oil and natural gas produced in the African continent, respectively, are exported out of the continent to be utilized elsewhere. In terms of renewable energy, only about 11% of the hydropower potential is being exploited, while less than 1% of solar and wind energy resources are currently utilized. There is a need for Africa to maximize the benefit provided by these resources to expand energy access, enhance productivity activity, and create jobs in addition to the providing opportunity for investment and business for the both private and public sector investor. Excellency and distinguished delegates, Africa energy transition pathway also need to be given special attention at the global and the continental level. The global efforts to address climate change call for achieve the ambitious target of net zero, at least in short to medium term, in key areas including energy, infrastructure, agriculture, and industrialization, among others priorities. The African Common Position on Energy Access and Energy Transition, which was adopted by African Head of State and Government in February 2023, call for using both renewable and non-renewable energy system in short to the medium term to accelerate access to the modern energy service on the continent. While the long-term goal of Africa is to transition towards clean energy sources, the current reality and the specific needs of the continent in the energy sector means energy access using combination of both renewable energy and non-renewable energy system will have to be the priority. This is a question of climate justice and just energy transition. And of course, in this Africa position, it is very clear that our energy access have a priority among all other priorities. It is also important to highlight that access to the clean cooking need to be recognized as a part of the energy transition process. Close to 1 billion Africans still depend on an efficient biomass system for meeting their cooking and heating needs, leading to the massive deforestation in addition to compounding health and mortality challenge. Africa could use its huge natural gas reserve to serve as a transition fuel in the short to medium term for accelerating access to the clean cooking. Excellency and distinguished delegates, the just energy transition in Africa also call for ensuring the continent is providing with adequate financing and technological access for climate change adaptations and mitigation action. Access to the finance is critical to accelerate the transition process. The financing gap in Africa energy sector is between 90 billion to 120 billion US dollars per year. Despite the new plan for renewable energy in Africa totaling more than 700 gigawatt in the Continental Port System Master Plan, CNP, 100 gigawatt in NDC, and 54 gigawatt in BIDA program, energy and climate change flow and investment in Africa are the lowest among the world region. Our leader at the African Climate Summit raised concern that despite Africa having an estimate of 40% of the world's renewable energy sources, only 60 billion or 2% of 3 trillion renewable energy investment in the last decade have come to Africa. There was a call for all stakeholders, both domestic and international, to provide all necessary reforms and support required to raise the share of renewable energy financing to at least 20% by 2030. Mobilizing the private sectors is also most important to mobilizing financing and close the huge gap in the African energy sector. The cost of financing for African government and utility remain one of the bottlenecks to the effectively utilize of private capital to expand the energy access. While developing countries could borrow private capital at interest rate of 2 to 3%, African countries pay above 10% and sometimes 17%, implying Africa pay 5 times more to borrow from capital market, mainly due to the increased lender risk perception. This has stimulated opportunity to take advantage of private capital in Africa energy sector and has limited the physical space to increase public funding of utility at the national level. Deliberate and targeted intervention from African government will be required to address physical and regulatory barrier to private capital mobilization. This call for long-term plan to reduce uncertainty development of the comprehensive policies, improvement of domestic lending markets, and adoption of transparent tendering process. The adoption of clear standards and regulation will be key to build investors' confidence and create and conceive environment for capitalization of the energy sector. Development finance institutions also need to ensure that Africa reality are taken into account in the financing infrastructure project, and funding is driven by development objective rather than focusing on return on investment. Technology transfer and innovations technology will also crucial. The exponential growth of the energy service in other regions of the world, such as Asia, is directly linked to their adoptions and adaptation of the technology to their local needs. Creating a manufacturing base for the energy equipment and system in Africa will also be important in reducing cost and productions at scale. Innovation solutions such as digital and smart technology also have the potential to enhance efficiency and seamlessly integrate renewable along the energy value chain, while also facilitating trade and energy market development. Africa is already being tweeting as the key players in driving the global energy transition due to the huge reserve of green mineral available on the continent. About 70% of the global cobalt production comes from Congo DRC, and over 80% of the world's non-platinum and manganese resources are in South Africa and Zimbabwe. While these resources position Africa as an important player in clean energy transition, it is of utmost importance to ensure that the supply and local value chain are modeled to maximize the benefit and create job local manufacturing. This highlights the need for Africa to be manufacturing end-use technology rather than supplying raw material to the global supply chain, which will create significant jobs and also localize the technology. Policies and framework also need to be set up to ensure that the utilization of sustainable and highly efficiency mining practice for the benefit of the local community and environmental protection. This is also an important aspect of the just energy transition. Excellency, distinguished delegate, I would like to call on the G20 leadership and members to focus more on the implementation of the concrete project and action in African energy sector, including 1, mobilizing financing and capital market to leverage financing for energy access. 2, focusing on implementation of priority and highly impactful projects at the regional, national, and local level. 3, targeting investment towards vulnerable community and area, especially rural area, as well as promoting business opportunity for women and youth. 4, technology cooperations and technology transfer of crucial systems, including a smart, digital, and highly efficient system. 5th, enhancing capacity of national and regional institutions to operate financially and technically viable utility. I strongly believe that enhancing collaboration among us all our leaders and stakeholders will bring more hope to the African and pave the way to find new solution, strategy, and opportunities that will support the continent to address growth energy needs. A strong political leadership, willingness, and ownership in energy sector will be crucial. African government need to establish clear, consistent, and strategic vision towards achieving universal energy access. This means the energy access and transition agenda need to be at the heart of the national planning and budgetary process directed towards the new infrastructure. The adoption of regional integration approach to address energy infrastructure development must be at the heart of the energy access agenda to create new and large market for investment. Developing regional and continental energy infrastructure and markets will ensure economic of scale and profitability for the investment, which will in turn attract private sectors and international investment. The African Union Commission and its partners are currently implementing key programs that focus on energy development on the continent, including the African Single Electricity Market, AFSM, the Continental Master Plan, CMP, Program for Infrastructure Development in Africa, PIDA, the December Risk Mitigation Facility, YARMF, the African Bioenergy Development Program, the Solar Energy Development in Africa Program, and the Mini Grids Market Development Program, which we believe will enhance the policy, regularity, and financing environment to promote universal energy access on the continent. I would like to use this opportunity to call upon all the stakeholders, including financial institutions, the private sector and the public sector, civil society, and research institutions, among others, from all parts of the world, to join us in implementation of the universal energy access and transition agenda in Africa. Thank you for your kind attention. Thank you very much.